Welcome to 60 Skills. And today's lecture is on the topic of your cup getting full. Now, what's implied in the study of the 60 Skills program is that the 60 fundamental skills in meditation and yogic practice are just that. They're basically your basic skill set or your fundamental training in how to go about training all of the different things you can train in yogic and meditative practice. Now, at a certain point, you're going to finish this. Most people go on to things like spirit magic or invocation of various intelligences. A few people go on to things like practicing underlying forces such as Kabbalah. But regardless of how far you go, sooner or later you reach a point where you got enough. And part of this is based off the fact that there are only so many hours in the day. I won't get into the practical reality of needing to support yourself or a family or whatnot, but simply at a certain point you're going to find what it is you wish to do in terms of esoteric and meditative study, and you'll have essentially gotten enough. Now, that's not to say that you'll quit practicing altogether, although that does sometimes happen. But in general, most people will eventually find that thing that they needed or that they were most interested in. They'll become extremely skilled at that thing, and then they've essentially had enough. So, what are some examples of these different things that can essentially be the end point of your studies? Well, the Chinese martial arts, particularly things like Tai Chi, have a long history of being that. I myself am primarily a Kabbalist. It's what I enjoy, and frankly, left to my own devices in terms of practice, it would pretty much be the only thing I would ever do. Now, other people like to apply this to things like medicine, such as traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or what have you. Basically, healing arts. For some people, this will be a vigorous hobby, and for others, this could in fact be a full-time profession. And the list goes on. I know at least one individual who uses his clairvoyance-developed skills to engage in day trading, and apparently he does quite well. So again, it's not that you necessarily stop practicing altogether. It's just at a certain point you've reached the limit of what you can put time and effort into. With the more physical practices, there can in fact be a limit to what you do just based off your physiology. So, like one individual I know who used to transform himself into a Division 1A athlete, at a certain point, you're done being a professional athlete. It's just the way it works. Now, for others, it's more a matter of going out and looking at one thing and then another over a very long period of time before they finally settle on that thing that they enjoy the most. Some people actually enjoy the art of teaching, so they go on to be very successful teachers in this vein. It really just depends upon the individual. But at some point, almost everyone will go, okay, I found what it is I care to do with this technology, and they'll simply pursue that. Now, in the cases of the more famous individuals, well, they can be quite extraordinary in terms of their ability. But this is where esoteric practice has the most in common with anything else that you can do. Sooner or later, you're simply going to stop studying new things because you found what you liked and you're limited by the amount of time and resources you have to do anything more. So in my case, I spend most of my time working on Kabbalah. I find things like the different movement-based breath retention systems of pranayama such as troll core or yantra yoga to be fascinating. And I may even occasionally take a class in one of these things. But the fact of the matter is they will never be a majority effort on my part because I already have the thing I'm working on. Others, again, may apply themselves to Tai Chi and become Tai Chi masters. Good for them. But at the end of the day, you're going to have what you like to do, and that's what you're going to work on. And a lot of people just slowly lose curiosity in the other aspects that these arts can be applied to. But this is where you need to be careful and check your ego at the door. Just as there are a million flavors of ice cream, there are a million flavors of meditative and yogic practice. And sooner or later, you're going to run into something that's new. This is where ego can really cause you some problems. It's the I am the master syndrome. Well, okay, maybe you're a master of Tai Chi or traditional Chinese medicine or pranayama, but that doesn't mean that anybody can be a master of all the different disciplines. It just doesn't work that way because there isn't enough time in the day to simply practice all of them. Now, this is where people can also become quite isolated in terms of their practice. When they think they know everything, it's a real problem because, again, there's more out there than any one individual could ever possibly know. So what I would encourage most people to do is develop your basic skill set, spend a year or 2 or 3 looking around to find that one thing that you'd rather become really good at, and then apply yourself to that. With the caveat that you always keep an open mind to new experiences. Because cutting yourself off, becoming isolated, and basically killing your growth isn't something that just happens to people in a conventional profession or in a conventional workplace. It can happen to yogic practitioners too. And you just come across as a bit foolhardy or stuffy if you think you know everything. Because the reality is you can't. I can't. None of my teachers could. None of my greater students could either. At the end of the day, we're human beings, and in that regard, we're quite limited. So if you enjoyed the topic of today's discussion, please hit the like button and maybe the subscribe button down below. And if you would like to learn more about the 60 Skills curriculum, please check out the details contained in the box below the video. Otherwise, train hard and be well.